thing I've ever seen.
Pete asked for Max. He'd asked us to go down. I subsequently found out to give us some of the money. He was drunk, and he started throwing all his contents of the floor, of his pockets onto the floor, and saying, you know, you junkies, here's your money for your junk. And it was like 70 quid on the floor, and his glasses and calculator. And Peter came to the door, and he was trying to get in, so Peter hit him, and you know, it was terrible. I pitied him, really.
But Max Carlish, the thing is, you say Max Carlish doesn't mean anything anymore now, because for every Max Carlish, there's another Max Carlish. Some prick.
He left with his friend, saying, don't kill me, don't kill me. So it was all just a setup, another setup, part of Max's sad dream. And we went through an hard time, really. But I always knew that we'd be acquitted, because it was the truth.
The Max Carlish documentary, and it's not very imaginative of me to say this, but it's true, it was a complete fucking joke. A complete joke.
The whole thing, drugs, trouble with police, you know, fighting, there's all that. Like, that happens in everyday life anyway, do you know what I mean? And you know, he's not set out to do any of that. The thing he's set out to do is do his music, and he happens to have, you know, he's had a few problems and a few things to deal with, like a lot of people do, you know.
While still on bail for assault and blackmail charges relating to the Max Carlish incident, a High Court judge granted Pete a 5-hour extension to his 7 o'clock curfew so that he could join Baby Shambles for a sell-out performance at London's Brixton Academy.
It was a strange time for us. It was like we were burning up on re-entry. It was 2 or 3 days after Pete had gotten out, and we were very keen to come back. And we came back really fast because we were so keen to come back, and yeah.
He punched me first. But with Peter? Yeah.
After the Brixton thing, it kind of turned into a bit of a free-for-all brawl. I think it's a good thing in some ways. I think it's kind of a brotherly thing with us. You know, it's that kind of level where you can argue to an extent, and sometimes it will just overboil and it will turn into, you know, a few fisticuffs here and there. You know, it's all in good fun.
I was in trouble to eat. We put an advert in a magazine, to the annoyance of my imaginary lover. Well, she questioned my integrity, and this is what she said to me. She said, oh, you're green. You don't
a man to stand up for right against wrong. The only thing I object to is him thumping people when they get it wrong.
As Steele, Pete's 2-year-old son, makes a rare outing with mother Lisa Moorish to see his father perform at University of London Union.
You know, a critic has not had his chance really to make their minds up yet completely, because there's so many distractions. And in a way, there's a strange illusion that must be created, a strange kind of hypnosis for an artist to become truly great, that often isn't necessarily based around whether they really are as great as your Dylans or your Hendrixes. It's another thing that goes on, as happened with the Gallaghers, if you like. There's a kind of effort of will to create rock stars. And I got the feeling that with Dr. Doherty, it was worth it. It was worth the effort of will to give it a go, because he was a unique character, he had a unique vision. And it was a strange mix of things that he was interested in. And what was interesting about him is that it went outside. A lot of rock bands now, all they do is borrow from rock, from within rock music. They don't go outside to literature or cinema or poetry. Very few of them do. He was a character that actually did. He seemed to look outside. He went beyond, and it's pretentious and it's ambitious, but it's always going to lead to a great volatile mix that makes the music better than just being something that's nicked from the Kinks or the Clash or the Pistols. You know, it just dilutes and dilutes and dilutes and becomes less interesting.
Stop eating. Been lost, cold, lonesome as a sparrow in the rain. I found myself tumbling to sinking feeling. Someone said I've gone wrong, could feel no shame. I'll be leaving town on the very next train. Don't wait for me, little girl, but I won't be coming this way again. Ain't nobody.
You're such a quality man.
East of a place called Eden.
And it is very difficult now for a genuinely radical, rebellious alternative to actually have a chance to breathe and live and reach that stage that the alternative world did in the 60s, because the capitalist commercial world doesn't want it to happen. So in that sense, you know, we're seeing Pete as a kind of he's on the front line and he's being battered mercilessly, you know, because he did have a romantic vision.
Pete Doherty is by far the most important man of our generation, the most talented writer and poet. Because he can teach us that, you know, life can be a shitty mess, but you have to really like appreciate those times. Because if you don't appreciate those times, how are you going to appreciate it when it's something glorious, or something magical's happening?
I sat for a while at the cross at Finney, where the young lovers would meet, and the flowers were in bloom, and I heard the men were coming home from the fair at Chiron, with their hearts in Tipperary wherever they go. But for me, I just transcribed that to Arcadia, and I know I'll return there.
Peter's literary prowess is recognised by the Burns Society in Scotland, and in May 2005 he was invited to perform at Burns and All That, the annual Burns Festival in Glasgow.
I don't think there's anyone of this generation that comes close to Peter lyrically.
There's an element that's still keeping on to the idea that he's a poet, because that makes the story still have a kind of resonance. The wonderful poet with an incredible insight into existence is being hounded to an early death by a cruel, unforgiving, crap tabloid media that just doesn't understand his sensitivity. You know, there's all that going on as well. But we never really get a chance to see if he's that sensitive, if he is actually a Nick Drake, or is he just really just another kind of kid that had a chance and fucked it up.
His gaze blank and pitiless as the sun is moving its slow thighs. What the fuck? Whilst all about it, real shadows of the indignant desert birds. The darkness drops again, but now I know that 20 centuries of stony sleep were vexed to nightmare by a rocking cradle. And what rough beast is this? Its hour come round at last. Slouching towards Bethlehem to be born. Let's find out. How you get under my skin? I don't find it irritating. You always play to win, but I won't need rehabilitating. Oh no, I think I'm on another world with you. I'm on another planet.
He's absolutely fantastic. He's a hero to me. Just because he's owned up to a lot of things. The papers have ridiculed him, and he's right, he's risen above it all.
But in the middle of it, there's a kind of silence, there's a kind of peace that I guess is ultimately, the drama of his life has become the inability for him to find those moments of peace, and he tries to find that peace through all sorts of substance abuse, through all sorts of weird collaboration, through, who knows what he's trying to find that peace through.